Hey everyone! Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more intense, real-life stories like this one. Looking back, I should have known better than to let that joke slip, but in that moment, it just came out. We were sitting around a table, me, Caleb, and his best friend Noah. The three of us had always shared a close bond, but lately, something had shifted. The laughter that once flowed so easily between us had faded, replaced by an awkward tension that felt almost permanent, like we were all bracing for whatever crack would come first. Noah made an offhand remark about relationships, something about how married couples eventually lose their spark. I don't even remember why, but I laughed and said, "Maybe it's because your best friend knows my body better than you do." The room went dead still. Noah froze mid-sip, eyes wide. Caleb's fork hovered in the air. I nervously brushed my hair back and forced a laugh. "Relax, I'm joking." But Caleb didn't smile. He didn't move. He just stared at me with this cold, unfamiliar look, like he no longer recognized the person sitting across from him. The atmosphere thickened instantly, heavy and stifling. Noah awkwardly cleared his throat, trying to smooth things over, but Caleb abruptly shoved his chair back and stood. "You think that's funny?" he asked, voice low and unsettlingly calm. My throat tightened. "Caleb, it was just a dumb joke." "Was it?" His words were sharp, deliberate. Too sharp. Noah muttered something about heading out, but Caleb didn't even glance at him. He turned toward the kitchen, jaw clenched. I followed, desperate to explain, but he raised his hand, stopping me cold. "I've heard enough," he said quietly. Far more than I ever wanted to. That night, he didn't come to bed. I lay awake, listening to the sound from the refrigerator, realizing how one careless sentence had torn open a wound I never saw coming. By morning, the coffee machine sat untouched. His keys were gone, and beside my half-drunk cup sat his wedding ring. At first, I convinced myself he just needed space. He'd always cooled off on his own. But by the third day, something felt different. The silence wasn't neutral. It was sharp, intentional, unforgiving. Every call went unanswered, every message ignored. Even Noah stopped responding, and that quiet hurt more than I expected. I replayed that dinner moment over and over in my mind, the way Caleb's expression changed, the flash of hurt in his eyes. I hadn't meant any of it. Noah and I had always been close, even before Caleb entered my life, but nothing inappropriate had ever crossed a line. Still, my words carried a weight I hadn't realized. That evening, I drove to Caleb's workshop in Bend, Oregon. His car was parked outside, but when I stepped in, he barely acknowledged me. "You shouldn't be here," he said, distant and hollow. "I need to explain," I whispered. He finally looked up, exhaustion lining his eyes. "Explain what?" "That my wife thinks my best friend knows her body better than I do." The bitterness in his voice stung. "It was a joke, Caleb. You know I get nervous. I ramble. I say stupid things." "No!" he snapped, slamming a wrench onto the table. "I don't know you anymore. And maybe that's the problem." Tears burned behind my eyes. "You're turning this into something it isn't." "Am I?" His voice cracked slightly. Noah's been acting distant too. "Makes me wonder why you couldn't even look at me that night." My heart dropped. "Don't do this." You know Noah wouldn't. "I thought I knew you too," he murmured, turning away. The silence that followed was broken only by the faint clink of tools. When I stepped closer, he stepped back. "Go home," he said quietly. "Just go." I left feeling like part of me had shattered. Later, I reread Noah's last message from a week earlier. We probably shouldn't hang out so much anymore. Caleb's starting to notice things. Notice what? There had never been anything improper. Still, every innocent joke, every shared laugh suddenly felt stained with suspicion. That's when I realized the damage wasn't just done. It was irreversible. The next morning, unable to live with the uncertainty, I went to Noah's apartment in Redmond. He looked startled when he opened the door, tense and uneasy. "Lauren, you shouldn't be here," he said, glancing around as if Caleb might appear. "I need answers," I said quietly. "What did you mean by that message? What is Caleb noticing?" Noah ran a hand through his hair, hesitating. He's been suspicious for a while. The way we joke, the way we act. He thinks there's something more. There isn't, I insisted. I know, he replied softly. But after what you said that night, it sounded real, Lauren. You looked him straight in the eye. Anyone would have believed it. Tears welled up. I was just trying to lighten the mood. You didn't, he said gently. You lit the fuse. We stood there, two people caught in the ruins of one careless sentence. Then he added, almost regretfully, Caleb called me yesterday, told me not to contact you again. That hurt more than I was ready for. The man I loved hadn't just stopped trusting me. He was cutting me off from the one person who understood the situation. I walked away without another word. Back home, the silence felt suffocating. Caleb had taken most of his things, his clothes, his tools, even his favorite mug. On the counter rested a folded note. My hands trembled as I opened it. I loved you enough to believe it was just carelessness. But I can't live a home where every quiet moment feels like suspicion. Maybe one day you'll realize what that joke truly cost us. I sank into a chair, clutching the paper to my chest, finally understanding how fragile love can be. One careless attempt to break tension had echoed louder than years of devotion. Weeks passed. Caleb never came back. And I kept replaying that night. The laugh, the silence, the exact moment everything unraveled. Sometimes, even now, I still hear his voice. You think that's funny?